The podcast paradox, the future tense. Riya Kapoor lived for the sound of secrets. As the host of Final Echoes, the world's most famous true crime podcast, she had spent years unmasking killers through soundscapes and silence. Tonight, the studio was cold. The city lights outside her window blurred by a relentless drizzle. On her console, a new file appeared, the last episode .mp3, no sender. No metadata, just a flickering waveform waiting to be heard. Riya pressed play. Her own voice filled the room, but the tone was wrong. It was frantic, gasping, recorded with a timestamp for tonight. 10 minutes from now, if you're hearing this, her future self whispered through the speakers. He's already in the vents. Don't look at the monitor. Riya froze. The recording wasn't a recreation. It was a perfect sonic prediction of her own death. A heavy click echoed through the studio. Riya rushed to the heavy soundproof door, but the electronic lock had been engaged. On the wall, the digital clock bled red numbers, 11:50 p.m. The recording had predicted her heart would stop at midnight. She wasn't just listening to a story anymore. She was trapped inside the script of her own murder. The studio monitors flickered to life, replacing the waveform with a grainy video feed. It was Ishaan. Years ago, he had been the genius engineer who built Riya's brand, only for her to discard him when she rose to fame, taking the credit for his revolutionary acoustic algorithms. He looked older now, his face illuminated by the pale blue light of a dozen screens. "Hello, Riya," he hissed. "Do you like the acoustics of your grave?" Ishaan wasn't just watching, he was conducting. From a remote, high-tech bunker, he manipulated the studio's atmosphere. He had spent years mastering psychoacoustics, the study of how sound affects the human brain. "I've turned your studio into a resonant chamber," Ishaan explained, his fingers dancing over a custom-built soundboard. "In 5 minutes, the infrasound will stop your heart. A perfect, silent crime." The air began to vibrate. It wasn't a sound Riya could hear, but a pressure she could feel in her teeth and her chest. Her vision began to blur as the low-frequency waves disrupted her equilibrium. Ishaan's voice gloated over the intercom, narrating her physical decline as if it were just another episode of her show. She realized he was following a pre-recorded sequence, a literal future tense. Riya knew she couldn't break the door, but she could break the signal. She crawled toward her mixing console, her fingers trembling. If Ishaan was using her own speakers against her, she had to introduce an unpredictable variable. She grabbed a patch cable and began rerouting the studio's input, bypassing Ishaan's remote override. She wasn't a victim, she was a broadcaster. "You forgot one thing, Ishaan," Riya shouted into her primary microphone, her voice broadcasting live to her millions of followers. "You're a perfectionist. You can't handle feedback." She slammed the faders to the maximum and held the microphone directly against the monitor, where Ishaan's face loomed. The resulting screech of a feedback loop tore through the digital connection, a jagged spear of sound sent back to its source. In his bunker, Ishaan screamed as his high-gain headphones exploded with the piercing shriek of the loop. The feedback overloaded his servers, causing sparks to shower down from the ceiling. His carefully constructed future tense shattered into 1,000 shards of static. The electronic lock on Riya's door clicked open as the system crashed. The script was broken. Riya stepped out into the cool night air, the rain washing away the scent of ozone. She held her portable recorder in her hand, the red light glowing. "This is Riya Kapoor," she whispered into the mic. "The future isn't a recording. It's a live broadcast. And I'm just getting started." Behind her, the studio remained dark, the silence finally belonging to her again.